Okay, dreamer please.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So as some of you guys would have probably seen, I was fighting my hardest in Legend Arena all the way until 15 hours before the reset. Maybe to some players this is nothing much, but I have been playing this game for 5 whole years and I have never once been so competitive, so it really means a huge deal. So I really wanted to share with you guys my entire experience from start to end. Of course, as you would have seen from the livestream yesterday, I fell off the top 50 to reach the 51st position, and subsequently the gap just grew too big and I couldn't continue with it. But I did remain in the top 100, which is a huge feat since I dare say that I was probably the only player there using a level 40 Eve. So how did it all start? I got the idea last week during the stream of Chris and Scoot, where I managed to complete the weird speed attack pointer star quest, and it really triggered me to aim to clear the next one, which was to win 500 battles in legend rank. Well, I asked myself, if not now, then when? While I'm not the strongest player by far, I wanted to try and see how far Dillo could carry me. And while climbing during reset, I realized it seems that magic teams could potentially be a lot stronger, so I spent a crap ton of rubies to get my Yonji to level 10 as well. And when that successfully happened, I was even more determined to do this. And lo and behold, I did get into legend rank within 24 hours of playing arena non-stop and started facing all the players with the fancily decorated HP bars, and honestly it's pretty intimidating. And then the anxiety and stress started setting in. I was observing matches every other minute, checking to see what was happening, checking the wins and losses, and if my win rate was above 50%. Usually with a 50% win rate, you will still be progressing if you were in any other tier of arena, but in Legend, if you ranked high, every one loss would require 2 to 3 wins to make up for it. And just when you thought all was well after winning a few matches consecutively, 2 losses brought you back to the same point. So honestly, it was pretty insane and discouraging, and I constantly felt that I have hit the limit. Almost every other hour, many questions went through my head. What accessories should I adjust on my heroes? Given the limited variety I have, what positioning should each hero be placed because it matters so much? Who dies too fast and how can I protect them? Is the equipment sufficient? It was a never-ending pursuit for the solution, and top players are really strong, and sadly the game seems to constantly set me up for failure by pitting me against the players who were eventually 7 to 10,000 arena points higher. There was literally no way to win, and looking at their gear really amazed me. Mythical Awakened gear completely changed heroes and pushed them to an extent which non-competitive players like us will never get to see. But you can bet I learned a lot during this entire process. I learned the true power of Mythical Awakened jewels. Literally having tons of additional block or crit or lethal rate on your heroes completely changes everything. And speaking of block, it was insanely important, especially since Brand and Brawn has fallen off at this tier. I had to swap out almost every hero's HP armor for a complete block setup. It was actually a must because the damage you take up there can hit hundreds of thousands, and without block you could completely be wiped out in seconds. And through that I also realized defense also played a far greater role than offense. I also learned better ways to optimize my team. Initially I was using Dylan's for defense reduction, then I observed many players using Regenlay for block reduction instead. So I thought maybe that could be the key to progress. Initially that worked out and I pushed up to around 7,000 points, but then it became almost impossible to progress because my damage output was completely bad. And then I thought, why not give Dylan's a try again? So reducing 4,000 defense definitely had to make a difference, and to my surprise, it worked incredibly well and I went all the way up to 8,000 points. It made me realize I couldn't just blindly follow what the other top players were using, and I had to build based on my team and equipment. As I mentioned earlier, every single player there has at least a level 42 Eve. There was no way I could really compete against a 3-man isolation and a chain attack so freaking strong that almost always happened because the game loves to use that skill when I'm dying. But Dylan's allowed me to actually hit harder in the opening phases of the match, which was key in killing off several heroes on the enemy side. When using the magic team, I also had to learn to manipulate attack stat numbers so that my Dylans will be taking on all the statuses from skills which target 3 enemies with the highest attack. Some examples include Ragrid's Crit and Lethal Reduction, Eve's Isolation, and Yonhee's Sleep. All these statuses you cannot have 100% resistance against, so I chose to make Dylans one of the targets. Ultimately, I just needed him to survive and let the other true damaging heroes do the work. Subsequently, even the magic team didn't seem to quite work out for me, and I changed back to the offensive team, which had a better win rate overall. Now towards the later part of the week, I found myself winning 1 battle, losing 2 battles, winning 1 battle, losing 2 battles, at the expense of hundreds of rubies, and as you saw, I played over 2,000 matches. At one point it just became like a grind itself, and I told myself, I was grinding for honor to get more keys. But yeah, ultimately I still couldn't make it into the top 50 as the gap exponentially increased on the final night. So you may be thinking, can you do this without money? In the short run, definitely not. In the long run, probably, but then again, there could be a lot more new features and equipment that could come out, so this is pretty much an endless chase, which is characteristic of every gacha game, not just 7 Nights. So I think it isn't rare for a gacha game to make the top ranks more pay-to-win exclusive. But the more important question is hitting Legend worth it? Yes, for trophy aesthetics, yes, for rare costumes, a must for pointer star completion, but beyond that I don't think it should be an essential, especially if it takes effort and stress to maintain the rank. The rewards in Supreme 1 are almost just as good, and I would strongly recommend you spend the time to actually do raid. Grind more rubies so that you can enjoy a gacha game for what it is. But of course, if you can effortlessly do it, and you care about your account's achievements, then by all means. Would I be doing this again? I'm actually keen to try again, but only just to see how things go. I don't think I will go to the same extent as I did for a while due to the sheer cost involved. After all, my main goal is to clear the Pointer Star quest, and once that is done, I will definitely just return to grinding and playing the game as per normal and progressing at my own pace. Was it fun for me? I mean, if you watched the live stream, you could tell if I was having fun or not. I think some parts of the process where I picked up on new knowledge for team design and hero builds was fun. But in general, watching my team get destroyed over and over by the same pool of players and fighting so hard to maintain even was just more depressing and stressful. So what advice do I have for players who want to climb to Legend? Try to fight against the Legend players outside of Arena first. Notice the damage numbers, notice their hero stats and hero positions. And if you use a similar team, try to observe where you lack and what is it they have done to make their heroes so good. In fact, give yourself the speed disadvantage and try going second. By doing this, you can see how their team really works and how it allows them to progress. And please don't stress over this because it can get quite tiring. Just make sure it's all part of having fun, and if you really want it so badly, then set aside a budget for yourself for the game so that you can still have a slight fighting chance. So what's my biggest takeaway? Well, I realized that while being competitive and being amongst the high ranks was definitely something to be proud of, it was also a very foreign way of playing 7 Nights where I completely forsake my Ruby principles. During the week, I even wrote on my Google Docs, quote, "Obsession of constantly wanting to be at the top actually robbed me of the fun I had," close quote. And yeah, that was honestly how I felt because I got so caught up and overwhelmed with it all. And I think till the day it arrives where I can comfortably grind for that rank, I think I will probably not overestimate my capabilities in holding on to something I cannot. So if you found this video helpful and learn more about Legend Rank, do give it a like and subscribe to my channel. Shout out to my channel members Nick Eclipse, ZMD Phoenix, Doppelganger and Reggie Bautista for the support. Stay tuned for more videos. Thank you so much and see you!